based on the pacemaker that she has, it will broadcast every about 3 to 4 minutes or so with a very small transmission that if authorities are able to capture that, can triangulate exactly where Nancy is.
Everything cut out at 2:28 a.m. on February 1st, 2026. No noise, no talking, not even a ringtone. What actually stopped was a digital pulse, specifically the Bluetooth link between that tiny chest implant and the phone Nancy left sitting in her house. That wireless bridge, that live data stream from her heart to the monitoring app, snapped at 2:28 in the morning and stayed broken ever since. This 2:28 a.m. mark isn't just a guess or some story a neighbor passed along. It isn't some shaky theory cobbled together from local rumors or indirect clues. The Pima County Sheriff's Department has officially verified that exact moment. 2:12 a.m. Surveillance software picks up a figure on screen. 2:28. Nancy's heart app logs a total loss of signal. Professionals have referenced it, scrutinized it, and used it as a foundation for every formal expert analysis seen so far. In investigative terms, we're looking at a hard, undeniable piece of evidence. Yet, here's the crucial detail most news reports overlooked. This is the point those talking heads barely touched on, if they mentioned it whatsoever. This fact has been the core of the mystery from the second that medical device came up. It's just been sitting there, waiting for the right person to realize what that hardware can really do. That 2:28 a.m. break is far more than just a clock reading. It's not merely when Nancy Guthrie's trail went cold or the final pulse from her heart monitor. It marks the conclusion of a 41-minute data log. See, when Nancy's implant lost its phone link at 2:28 that night, the unit didn't just shut down. It didn't simply go dark. It never ceased its primary function for even a second. It kept right on watching. The hardware kept taking notes. That internal storage, the memory bank that works totally separate from any Bluetooth or app or any outside network, continued tracking every single heartbeat from the moment an intruder stepped inside until Nancy was pulled far enough away to snap that connection. If the Schedule C, see more outlined during that day 68 interview is on the money, and that 40 to 42-minute frame holds up, then Nancy's cardiac implant was busy, documenting every single moment a stranger was lurking in her residence. Every last moment. Today, we're diving way deeper into this lead than any mainstream media outlet has dared to go. We'll dissect the exact data this device captures, where those files are stored today, the legal hurdles cops have to jump over to get their hands on it, what the results might reveal, and how it will impact the trial for the person who snatched Nancy Guthrie from her house on February 1st. Don't go anywhere, because this evidence is a witness that never misremembers. Just a heads up, we're looking into an ongoing missing persons case here. Every detail shared is backed by research. We name our sources clearly and flag any analytical conclusions as exactly that. We aren't pointing fingers at anyone specifically. Now, let's look at the established timeline. We'll begin where any real investigation must, with the undisputed facts that are already part of the official record. February 1st, 2026. A Sunday before dawn in a Tucson, Arizona suburb. Nancy Guthrie, 84, an ex-professor described as quite sharp, kind, and active in town, is home. At 1:47 a.m., her front porch camera cuts out. The Pima County Sheriff's Office confirmed this. Let's be precise because details matter. This wasn't power loss. It wasn't a breakdown. In a targeted abduction, as Sheriff Nanos publicly labeled the case, a camera dying at 1:47 a.m. is deliberate. Early Sunday at 1:47 a.m., the security feed cuts out. Someone killed the video. The official targeted classification implies the camera failure was part of it. At 2:12 a.m., sensors trigger outside, but no footage saved. No video is available. Without a plan, the device just loops and overwrites itself. Experts say this matches a disabled system during entry. It's the result of a carefully prepared criminal plan. Then, at 2:28 a.m., the key evidence, the pacemaker connection fails. 3 specific timestamps, all logged and fully verified. Let's view these moments as a timeline of events. 1:47 a.m. The camera is killed. The suspects begin their work in that darkness. 2:12 a.m. Motion is detected. The feed is blind. no data saved. This happened 16 minutes before the final signal loss. 2:28 a.m. The pacemaker unpairs from the phone. This provides a critical clue based on hardware reality. Nancy is far enough that the Bluetooth snaps. Normal Bluetooth range for medical monitoring is usually 10 to 30 feet, depending on obstructions and the specific device protocol. That signal failure gives investigators something very concrete. Nancy was no longer in the same building. That 41-minute gap was not something we just invented. C.C. Moore, the genealogist from Parabon Nanolab, stated on record that the operational window was 40 minutes. She is the expert. That number is hers. 40 minutes. The pacemaker tracked that entire crime window. Understanding the device, what a pacemaker really is. Before proceeding further, most folks totally misunderstand how pacemakers actually work nowadays. Public opinion relies on outdated ideas that do not match today's tech. This old-school view makes everyone overlook the massive amount of data her device captured. Usually, people are just picturing the gear from 20 or 30 years ago. Just a tiny internal battery pack meant to kickstart a heart whenever the pulse starts acting up. A single tasker that barely watched or saved any information at all. Today's heart implants are a completely different animal compared to those. High-tech heart monitors, the ones surgeons use now, function as complex trackers that watch you every second. Their job goes way beyond just keeping time. They watch, log every moment, mark the time, and highlight issues, sending out data 24/7 while the user just lives their life, totally independent of any outside hookups. So, what exactly is this gadget writing down? Here is the breakdown. It tracks your pulse every single heartbeat. No quick glances or check-ins every few hours here. It keeps an unending tally of beats per minute tucked away inside its own hard drive. Any shifts in speed, whether they happen slowly or out of nowhere. If your heart starts racing or dragging past the limits your doctor set during setup, that specific moment gets noted, saved, and marked with the exact time. Any glitches in the heart's natural beat, like AFib or random skips that do not match the healthy pattern the software looks for. The system catches these on its own, marks the precise second they happened, and saves them locally, right next to the log of every time the machine had to step in and give a shock. Doctors rely on this vital info, which is tracked just as strictly as the pulse itself. How much you are moving around. Most new models have built-in motion sensors that record whenever the patient is walking or running. This helps physicians fine-tune how much help the heart needs depending on how busy you are. It furthermore leaves a trail showing if a person was breaking a sweat or just chilling out at any time. We are talking about basic, proven medical tech here. This is not some sci-fi experiment or risky new invention. This is the industry standard, scientifically verified power of the hardware used by heart patients across the globe right now. Okay, here is the crucial detail for our case. That tracking does not need a cell phone to work at all. The wireless link between her heart and the app is just a bridge for the data, essentially a pipe, where the saved info travels from the chest to the phone, then straight to the clinic's database. So, when that link cut out at 2:28 in the morning, the upload quit. But the actual logging never missed a beat. The onboard memory kept rolling, using its own internal juice because that is its primary function. It keeps files regardless of whether there is a signal. The smartphone is just a middleman, but the pacemaker is the actual witness. At 2:28 a.m., the relay link finally snapped. Yet the unit never stopped logging data internally, since cutting the feed would have required powering down the entire device. That technicality is actually a massive deal. Losing the link at 2:28 a.m. didn't wipe the previous history. It never stopped the recording that had been running since before the porch camera went black. The transmission path closed, but the internal file stayed put. Here is why that matters for the case. Tucked inside Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker, there is likely a heart log starting before the doorbell lens was killed at 1:47 a.m., tracking straight through that movement alert at 2:12 a.m., and ending only after she was hauled far enough from her phone to kill the Bluetooth at 2:28 a.m. That isn't a hole in the discovery. That is the file that bridges the gap. Regarding what pulse data reveals to detectives, we need to be precise, and we are going to be. This analysis is expert-level logic based on known body science and the proven power of modern heart implants. Officials haven't verified any of this yet. This channel isn't claiming to see Nancy's actual medical records. We are explaining the sheer capabilities of this tech and how those saved metrics impact this specific mystery. The body reacts to terror, strain, and injury in very predictable ways. These biological shifts are far from subtle. They are distinct, measurable, and show up in heart data with enough detail to serve as evidence. That surge of panic, that sudden firing of the nervous system due to a direct threat, makes the pulse skyrocket instantly. It is the classic survival instinct at play. In a fit young person, the heart rate can double within moments of a scare. For an 84-year-old woman with a heart condition and a surgical implant, that biological surge still happens, and it would be caught, saved, and time-stamped by the monitor in her chest. If an intruder startled Nancy awake, or if she realized someone was in her house, her heart would have reacted to that shock. Not eventually. It happens right that second. And the chest device would have pinned that reaction down to the exact second. Being forced to stand or move, being shifted around, or being carried away creates heart changes that an onboard motion sensor picks up easily. Moving the body naturally forces the heart to work harder. That internal activity tracker, assuming Nancy's model had one, and most new ones do, would show if she was struggling or still during those 41 minutes. Any physical trauma or any event causing massive strain on Nancy's body would leave a digital fingerprint the device would grab. Spiking rates, uneven rhythms, or shifts in how the unit fires. Every single event gets tagged with a time. To put it simply, here is why that matters for the trial. If Nancy's implant caught a pulse jump at 1:49 a.m., when you take 2 minutes after that camera cut out, we have a vital sign recorded right in the middle of the crime scene timeline. You can line it up with the outage at 1:47 or check it against that motion trigger at 2:12. This builds a heart rate history that mirrors the digital trail perfectly. And you can't fake a heartbeat record. It's impossible to forge or wipe clean from the hardware once it's logged. For the prosecution, this kind of hard proof is a massive game changer in court. It isn't the whole story, but it fills every missing hole. It shuts down any excuses the defense might try. It uses science to answer the what-ifs we'd normally guess at. Though we're still blind to the actual numbers. I've got to be upfront about that, and I'll keep saying it as we dig deeper. However, we definitely know the kind of info this tech tracks, and what's being logged during this specific 41-minute gap is a physical diary of Nancy Guthrie's final moments while the neighborhood slept and the front porch was pitch black. Here's how the police find that trail. There is one part of this whole mystery that the news hasn't really touched on, but it completely flips what we think the detectives already know. Nancy's heart device keeps its own logs. We already covered that much. But the way modern heart tech works, that little chip isn't the only place those files live. The big tech firms that create, assemble, and sell these implants run a massive cloud network designed to track every patient in real time. When the implant pings the phone app, those stats don't just sit on the screen. They get beamed straight to the company's high-security servers. Those mainframes keep a running history of your heart health for months, sometimes for years, as part of the deal between you, your doctor, and the tech company. It's not some fancy upgrade. It isn't an extra you can opt out of. This is just how heart monitoring works today, built so heart doctors can check your vitals without making you drive to the clinic. That cloud backup is what makes the whole system run. This means the cops basically have two different digital vaults full of Nancy's heart data they can crack open. One, the actual storage chip inside her chest. Getting that would mean either getting hands-on with Nancy, which isn't happening yet, or using the specialized scanners only the factory and doctors use. That gear is real. You can't just buy it on Amazon, but the manufacturer and their tech teams have it ready to go. 2. The company's off-site data center. This holds everything the device uploaded before the clock hit 2:28 a.m. It's all the info synced up through the app right before the Bluetooth signal died. To grab this, they don't even need to be in the same room as the device. They have to serve the company with legal papers. In a federal criminal probe, that request usually takes the form of a warrant. National statutes allow courts to force tech firms to hand over data stored on their systems. The health privacy rules known as HIPAA, which protect medical records in the United States, actually include specific carve-outs for police work. A search warrant, issued by a federal judge during a crime investigation, overrides the typical privacy laws that usually protect information from medical gadgets. This isn't a brand new legal theory, it is a well-established practice. Federal agents frequently use court mandates to pull data from health-related technology, accessing heart monitor records for someone taken in. A federal kidnapping case is exactly what a warrant is designed to do. As for whether they have actually secured that warrant yet, or if the feds and local sheriffs have formally asked for the company's cloud history or started pulling the device's own logs, hasn't been verified yet. We aren't saying it has definitely taken place. We are pointing out that the legal door is wide open. This is a basic move for feds. Any pro-agent handling an abduction involving heart tech would be weighing this option. Jennifer Coffindaffer, a former FBI agent who has been breaking down this case for the national news, has discussed how advanced the tactics being used in this specific search really are. Her background in the Bureau gives her a unique perspective on the high-tech tools being used at this level. The way she talks in public always highlights that the search setup matches what you would expect for a major national crime. Maureen O'Connell, another ex-FBI agent, has weighed in on the tangible clues found so far. A lot is moving, and while talking to the public is tough, it's always a challenge in major cases. She emphasized how the landscape matters and how carefully the team is moving. Her take is that they are stacking up evidence layer by layer, instead of just reacting to every single lead that pops up. Whatever they have found won't be leaked until it is time for court or the mystery is solved. That is just how the feds operate, by the book. Just because it is quiet doesn't mean they are stuck. With these types of crimes, the radio silence is often a sign of progress. Breaking down the facts Sheriff Nanos has shared. Pima County's own Chris Nanos has gone on the record several times about the case that shouldn't be viewed separately. When you connect the dots between his reveals, they signal a very deliberate and heavyweight approach to the probe. Nanos stated clearly for the Fote Press on NBC that his team thinks they have figured out why the victim was taken. He made it clear this wasn't an accident. It wasn't random or a crime of opportunity. It was planned. Think about that word for a second. It implies a lot more than most people realize. Authorities have a theory on the motive, and they're convinced she was specifically singled out. Essentially, a pre-planned kidnapping implies the culprit had eyes only for Nancy Guthrie from the start. This suggests a calculated choice was made, ruling out any possibility of a random victim. It points to a perpetrator who intentionally killed the power to the front porch. Security feed at 1:47 a.m. suggests they'd cased the place, or at the very least, possessed enough inside knowledge to locate and neutralize the surveillance gear without hesitation. That 41-minute interval within the residence wasn't some random stumble. It was a choreographed operation. Given that the snatching was a deliberate, focused act, and detectives feel they've cracked the why, the primary focus shifts away from the mechanics of the crime. The burning question becomes, who? Who carried a specific grudge to vanish Nancy Guthrie? Which individual knew the layout well enough to shut down the entryway's recording device? Who spent over 40 minutes stalking through those rooms during the dead of night this past Sunday morning? Within this framework, where the motive is clear, the target was fixed, and federal agents are leading the charge, those heart monitor readings aren't just some technical oddity or minor detail. They serve as a vital biological fingerprint for a team that likely already has a short list of suspects. This nuance is crucial when evaluating how the medical device logs actually factor into the case. When police are starting from scratch and searching for a lead, forensics help them whittle down a long list of potential names. But when the authorities have already locked onto a prime suspect, that same evidence becomes the foundation for an unshakable legal conviction. In this specific scenario, the cardiac telemetry acts as a definitive witness that no lawyer could ever hope to debunk or discredit in court. A heart rate report revealing a sudden surge at a precise moment within that confirmed 41-minute window doesn't provide a name, yet it provides a biological map of exactly what Nancy Guthrie's system endured while detectives pieced together the timeline using tech logs and forensic traces. That level of external validation, that physical proof backing up a sequence of events, constructed from digital pings and sensor logs, is precisely what makes a district attorney's case bulletproof. Nanos made it clear through his public statements that this remains a high-priority pursuit, backed by the full weight of a major federal abduction probe. His approach aligns perfectly with the heavy presence of the Bureau, the deployment of cutting-edge forensic technology, and the intense collaboration across departments that a kidnapping like this requires. Let's talk about the ransom demand and the profile of the offender. Reports from TMZ suggest a demand for cash was actually left behind during the crime. This is fascinating because it hints at an accomplice, even if one person is running the show. He's also apparently vowed to sit on the $50,000 until someone is behind bars. Mind you, this info comes from just one outlet and hasn't been verified by official police statements yet. We're crediting that specific source for now, and we've marked it as unverified in our research notes. So keep in mind that any theories based on this note depend entirely on that one report being true. Should the news about a ransom note hold water, this introduces a psychological aspect that ties straight back to what the heart monitor revealed. Demand letters prove this was calculated and driven by a desire for cash. It shows Nancy Guthrie's captor viewed her as a bargaining chip in a cold, business-like swap. Writing those demands requires forethought. You do not just whip one up on the fly. The perpetrator either wrote it beforehand or drafted it with a very clear goal in mind. This mindset perfectly explains that 41-minute gap captured by the medical tracking device. Kidnappings for profit are usually tight, scheduled operations rather than random acts. The culprit shows up knowing exactly what they are going to do. They have a clear idea of the duration needed for the job. Their objectives are set, and they have already picked out their path. That 41-minute span between the dead cameras and heart rate shift suggests a precise hit. It was not some messy accident. It was a series of tactical moves on a clock, assuming this perspective is the right one, and matches the intentional, specific details shared by Nanos regarding this targeted crime. It suggests the attacker was watching the clock. Meanwhile, the medical implant was silently documenting every single second of their progress. This logic also points to what kind of clues might be found around the property. Strategic crimes usually involve a getaway car and a departure, an escape. Those tire tracks found at the scene fit the profile of a deliberate arrival. They reveal how the car moved, its rubber patterns, and the heavy load it carried away. Every bit of it is tucked away in the forensic details that detectives are currently deconstructing. Heart rate logs are not just an outlier. They are part of the story. They act as a living witness that complements the traditional trail left behind. While the implant tracks the victim, the tread marks follow the getaway driver, and the tech logs stitch the whole timeline together. Collectively, they shed light on a crime committed in the shadows, without any human witnesses nearby. The specialists reviewing these official files. News Nation's Brian Enton has reliably served as the most qualified reporter on the ground while covering Tucson for this entire stretch, delivering the constant updates and deep storytelling that has become the definitive historical archive for local folks following along. During his Day 68 report, C.C. Moore established that 40 to 42-minute window for the suspect, marking a huge shift. This stands as a pivotal moment in how the public understands the facts of this mystery. Moore is not some talking head. She is an active expert in tracing suspects through DNA. She holds the lead role in genetic research over at Parabon Nanolabs. Her professional career is built on cracking unsolved cases all over the United States. Her timeframes are not guesses. They are calculated results derived from hard data. Nancy Grace has also tackled the heart monitor mystery on her program, Crime Stories, digging into how those biological logs might break the case wide open, and grilling her guests about what the police might be keeping quiet. The attention she gives to the implant shows just how crucial it is. Top legal analysts view this specific clue as a potential game changer. Forensic nursing expert Ann Burgess, a key commentator here, explored the psychological blueprint behind this kidnapping. how victims were chosen, the groundwork laid, the intentional cut to security feeds, and every sign pointing toward a kidnapper who arrived with a calculated strategy. Her findings mirror the criminal profile emerging from the official updates shared by Sheriff Nanos. Specialist Kurt Dabb, an ex-homicide investigator who has broken down the specifics throughout several media segments, detailed the process of weaving together forensic and online clues to build an airtight court case. His take on exactly what detectives require to secure a conviction stems from years of boots-on-the-ground police work. Former SWAT leader Bob Giger, who lent his strategic expertise to interpreting this probe, highlighted the cold, systematic approach taken at the Guthrie home, along with the unique hurdles, which the harsh Tucson desert landscapes create for tracking teams and forensic retrieval. Veteran Joe Galone, a former New York City police sergeant frequently weighing in on these events, explained the way various proof layers are stacked in high-stakes kidnapping files, how random clues start aligning as authorities work the timeline in reverse, starting from the last known location. Every single professional on this list agrees that heart monitor is a crucial piece of the puzzle. This tech has remained central to the official narrative since day one. Its importance was never up for debate. We only wonder what data is stored inside. This is how a federal manhunt actually operates. The term tickling the wire describes a specialized bureau technique employed when dealing with active crime rings or life-and-death ransom demands. Reaching out to a person of interest or a middleman just enough to stay under the radar, while making sure the lines of contact are still wide open, harvesting intel, and perhaps baiting the target into speaking again. Many commentators have pointed to this exact strategy regarding the current situation. During a kidnapping for money, assuming those TMZ reports about a demand letter hold water, the Bureau follows a strict manual that prioritizes keeping the dialogue alive with the hostage takers while they concurrently put together the forensic and tech-based file required for the second the SWAT teams get the green light. Viewed that way, every verified bit of material proof, every single electronic log, each DNA trace, treadmark, and aerial photo serves a dual purpose: immediate intel and future courtroom ammunition. Federal agents do not wait for the victim to be home before starting the legal paperwork. The prosecution file grows alongside the rescue effort. These paths move side by side, which is standard operating procedure for the Bureau. That is simply how major abductions are handled. It is the rule book. Knowing these rules clarifies why the public has been kept in the dark about the mounting evidence. Keeping quiet does not mean they are lost. The hush is purely tactical. Any fact hidden from us is a fact that has not been tipped off to the suspect or their crew. This level of secrecy is by design and represents top-tier police work. In her open remarks on the Guthrie matter, Jennifer Coffin-Daffer hasn't minced words about these specific mechanics. Probes are currently moving forward with full backing and resources, plus all the proof. Like any data within that pacemaker, is crafting a rock-solid case built to withstand federal scrutiny. Here is the kicker. That medical device wasn't merely tracking the hours, it acted as a silent observer. With the groundwork set, let's break down the actual impact. Right from the jump of this whole inquiry, the 2:28 a.m. signal loss was treated basically as a stopwatch, a log entry helping detectives pin down roughly when Nancy Guthrie vanished from her place. It served to define the far edge of the entire timeline. Everyone saw it as the final curtain call, and while that is true, there is more to it. That specific shutoff time is a verified, high-stakes bit of info, yet it carries a hidden depth that totally shifts how we view this gadget's role in the mystery. 2:28 a.m. isn't where this internal tracker starts its tale. Actually, that is just the finish line. The real starting point kicks off at 1:47 a.m. or before, while the unit was actively humming, keeping a steady watch, documenting every beat inside that 84-year-old lady just before her home turned into a crime scene. During each tick of those 41 minutes after the lens cut out and before the link died, the tech inside Nancy Guthrie kept performing its primary job flawlessly. It tracked her pulse, capturing exactly how her heart reacted through that 41-minute stretch. That is the digital trail likely stored within the unit's local storage and the company's remote databases. Let's get real about the implications here. Picture this. Feds grabbed the heart monitor's inner files using a legal court order. They start digging through pulse stats from 1:45 to 2:30 in the morning. At 1:48 a.m., they spot something. Just 60 seconds after the porch cam quits, her heart rate suddenly goes through the roof. It is a sharp, instant jump. Exactly what happens when someone is paralyzed by sheer terror. The sort of surge you see when someone realizes they are in grave danger. That single bit of info, that heart jump at 1:48 a.m. gives the pros a very clear signal. Right then, Nancy Guthrie's survival instincts felt a major alarm. Her pulse reacted, and the tech caught it. Then, at 2:05 a.m., the report highlights a long burst of high activity, mirroring heavy strain or frantic movement. By 2:11 a.m., just moments before that verified movement at 2:12, her rhythm shifts once more, and at 2:22 a.m., one more incident occurs. Each of these points serves as a physical clue right inside the known time frame. They can all be mapped directly onto the electronic sequence of events. The accuracy of these time-stamped entries is so tight that no eyewitness, grainy footage, or neighbor's memory can even come close to competing. To be clear, we aren't claiming the report definitely says this. The actual results are unknown to us, and we aren't here to play guessing games with thin info. The point we are making, based on proven medicine, law, and detective work, is that the tech to build such a file was right there in her chest. That monitor was definitely on. It kept tracking. It stayed active. What sets this apart from any other clock in the files is one simple fact. You can't shut that pacemaker down remotely. The porch security was cut. A person picked it out, knew the kill switch, and killed the feed. Sensors felt movement, but the video never saved. This crime's tech trail has massive holes. Purposeful voids left by a killer scrubbing their tracks. Yet that heart monitor kept running. It was untouchable, tucked away inside Nancy Guthrie. It runs on its own internal power cell. The data tracking doesn't need Wi-Fi or a wall outlet to work. No buttons to press, no lenses to tape over, no cables to sever. Everything logged during that 41-minute window stayed in. A spot no criminal could touch. The single area completely, walled off from even the most meticulous mastermind behind this job. You can kill a ring cam. You can't kill a heartbeat. That's the game changer. That's why this specific proof, once detectives crack it, will be the crown jewel of the entire investigation. That 2:28 a.m. mark did more than just clock Nancy's exit. It proved that for 41 minutes leading up to it, her internal tech was keeping score. A machine beyond reach. A tool with no off switch. A system catching every pulse, every jump, every odd rhythm. A living diary of Nancy's final moments while the neighborhood slept. That cardiac device wasn't just a clock. It was an observer. It was the only person in the room that the killer couldn't shut up. What happens next? Several investigative leads remain hidden from view, like those deep-level heart logs. Legal demands sent to the medical tech company, the exact forensics O'Connell and Krieger mentioned, or any potential trail of ransom notes. Such specifics won't surface until the lawyers head to court. But here is what we know for sure, judging by the experts who weighed in and the verified clues the police have leaked regarding the federal protocols for abduction cases. This proof doesn't rot. The times are locked in. The monitor remembers that 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was once a college educator. According to everyone close to the case, she's a pillar of the town whose absence is an open scar that won't close until she comes home. The puzzle being solved here has many levels: tech, forensics, and anatomy. That heart device is the key piece, the one thing that kept eyes open when everything else went black. If you know something about Nancy Guthrie going missing, get in touch with the Puma County Sheriff's Tip Office. That phone line is all over the news right now. They're waiting for calls. Pick up the phone. This town has shown incredible heart by staying focused on Nancy for over 70 days. Staying focused really matters. It ensures eyes stay on us, maintains heat, and keeps the budget flowing. Keep pushing forward. If you have tracked this search since day one, you realize that your presence creates a massive impact. Spreading this clip helps. Each new viewer or subscriber adds one more witness to a mystery that absolutely needs to be put to rest. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Pass this footage along to everyone tracking Nancy Guthrie's current whereabouts. This platform boosts us only when you step up, and you all have been truly incredible. Stick around because our search is far from finished. We created this content to inform and educate the public regarding an ongoing search for a missing person. Every verified statement within this presentation comes from official police reports or specific individuals speaking directly on the record. Points labeled as professional deductions involve deep, logical analysis using established tech and legal methods rather than official conclusions from the police department. We have not identified any specific person of interest throughout this entire production. Our team avoids guessing who might be behind Nancy Guthrie's vanishing to ensure we remain strictly objective. Every piece of evidence, including the line between proven data, unverified witness accounts, and logical conclusions, are documented in our detailed fact-check guide at the end. Anyone holding leads on Nancy Guthrie's case should reach out to the Puma County Sheriff's Office immediately. The search remains active. Our hearts remain hopeful for Nancy's return. As the investigation stands today, the truth feels closer than ever, yet still just out of reach. Every new lead uncovers another layer, each clue raising more questions than answers. For those following the case, hope and frustration now walk hand in hand. Investigators remain relentless, piecing together fragments of a story that refuses to fully reveal itself. And while time has passed, the urgency has not faded. Someone, somewhere, holds the missing piece. Until that moment comes, the search continues, driven by the belief that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will eventually come to light.